Welcome back to another episode of the Strength Log. My name is Philip Wildenstam. I'm a co-founder of Strength Log and a certified nutrition coach.
And I'm Daniel Richter, CEO of Strength Log and a certified personal trainer. We are in our final stretch now, Philip.
Yeah, in real life, we're back in the studio in just like a couple of days, but we're finally going on vacation.
Yeah, in real time, we're going on vacation soon. There's a great sci-fi book called Marooned in Real Time. I recommend it. Short and fast-paced. Time travel mystery-ish. But no, not time travel. But yeah, it's awesome.
Give me the synopsis.
You and I are stuck in real time while the listeners have moved past.
That's nice. And we're finally back to doing a study review.
Yeah, I missed these ones. We did our Big Six series with the strength training principles before that, and then 2 Q&A episodes. If you haven't listened to the episode with the principles and the Big Six, go back and do so. I think they cover a lot of useful stuff. But now we are back into doing a study review, and I like these. Not in the least because I learn so much when I do these.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's like fresh air.
Or this is going to be one of those episodes where you talk a lot and I hum along.
Yeah.
Which is nice for me.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't really know how you and I have missed collagen to the extent that we have.
I've mostly just ignored collagen.
Yeah, I suppose one of the reasons we missed it is because not much seems to happen with it.
Exactly.
Like it's really important and really abundant, but it's not as plastic as muscle tissue is. It doesn't change as much.
For me, it's vital because as a home chef or home cook, I love collagen-rich food because it's so tasty. It has the best mouthfeel. And when you reduce a stock down, you get a gelatinous feeling. And that's thanks to collagen.
Yeah. And we eat less collagen as a society as a whole these days
weird.
than we did just like 100 years ago. We pick the finer cuts from the meats and we leave all the collagen-rich pieces to the side, which kind of brings us in to today's topic. So we're going to talk about collagen and its relevance for people's strength training and a bit about like the interplay between protein intake and collagen as a whole. But collagen is a protein. It is the most abundant protein in the human body. It's basically what keeps us standing instead of like just pouring out over the floor. That and the skeleton, which is like a third collagen.
That's a nice visual.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. So collagen is, we often say that protein is the building blocks of our bodies. And I realize now that we're kind of referring to collagen, which once again is a protein, the one we have the most of in the body. So mostly in the forms of skin, bones, tendons, cartilage, but also like blood vessels. So it's everywhere providing structure, either like in a tendon where it's mostly collagen or more like a mesh surrounding our cells to keep them in their place. So yeah, it provides a structure like a scaffolding, really. And we produce collagen ourselves, and our own natural collagen production starts to decline around at the age of 25, which explains our wrinkly asses.
Speak for yourself, I'm fat. I have zero
But it's
wrinkles.
A good trick. You just expand that collagen mesh from the inside. You just got to keep the expansion going.
Yeah, like a balloon.
So one of the things about collagen is that in the strength training clique, we often talk about high quality protein or essential amino acids. And the human body consists of 20 different amino acids, which is small building blocks to build all the proteins. So you combine them in different ways and you get different proteins, like muscle proteins and collagen. And collagen is built out of the ones that we are typically not interested in what we call the non-essential amino acids. So these are amino acids that we do get mostly from our food, but in a pinch we can create them ourselves. In contrast to essential amino acids, which are 9 of them, which are found in great abundance in muscles, and we cannot create these essential amino acids on our own, so we have to eat them from high quality protein, as it's called. But collagen is made out of the non-essential ones. There is kind of an exception here, not that we need an essential amino acid, but we need an essential vitamin, and that is vitamin C, which is required to kind of, what do you say, temper the collagen to make it stable. Without vitamin C, which is very short-lived, we cannot make stable collagen. And what happens, you as an old sailor bear, when you board your ship in England to cross the Atlantic and you don't bring enough limes?
Oh, your rum drinks are going to be so much worse.
Yeah.
That's the first issue. Then you're going to start losing your teeth and die.
Yeah, you get scurvy.
Yeah, you get scurvy. You shrivel up and die.
Yeah, because of the vitamin C deficiency.
Yeah.
Which causes you to not be able to form stable collagen. So you get joint pain, you get poor wound healing, you get loose teeth, and you bleeding gums, and eventually you die.
Yeah. And this is not really an issue in at least our part of the world anymore.
No, I checked that a bit to see like what are like the general intakes, and to avoid scurvy, you only need a tiny amount of vitamin C.
Yeah.
In America and in Sweden, where you and I live, we get like 10 times the amount of that. But I think we will circle back to this towards the end of the episode. Just like with protein intake, getting enough for staying healthy might not be the same as optimal intakes for, in this case, forming collagen, especially if you wear and tear it a lot. But we'll get back to that.
I eat a lot of tomatoes. I'm fine.
Yeah. That's another thing. So, as mentioned, collagen, the most abundant protein in our body. But if we zoom in on our muscles, collagen is not the most abundant protein in them. So we kind of have three big groups of protein in our muscles. The biggest one, accounting for like 60%, is what we in fancy terms call myofibrillar proteins. Myo means muscles, so muscle fiber proteins. These are the proteins that contract and actually produce the force when we are training. And then, like 30%, we have sarcoplasmic proteins. These are like support proteins around these muscle fiber proteins that provide them with energy. They move away the waste products, provide the blood flow, just helps the workers keep working, basically. And when we strength train, both of these increase, but you can kind of shift the increase slightly depending on how you train. So someone who only does like heavy low rep work, like weightlifters and powerlifters, might get a tad more myofibrillar proteins, the one actually creating force. And someone doing more high energy work, say bodybuilding training or intense endurance training, they will shift some more that towards that support protein, the sarcoplasmic proteins that provides enzymes and energy and so on, or bigger glycogen stores, which is probably one of the causes for the myth that bodybuilders only have air in their muscles, but really they have like energy support systems.
Yeah.
And then between 1% up to like 10%, we have collagen in the muscles to keep it stable, keep it in shape. But then as we move from the muscles and closer to the tendons, we get more and more and more collagen, and the tendons can be like 80% collagen. And then we have the bones and we have the joints with their cartilage, and we find lots of collagen here. So this is where collagen gets interesting for everyone's strength training, to keep these joints and tendons happy, because as most people have been training for a while knows, when you increase your training dosage, eventually something starts to hurt and you have to back off. And oftentimes this is in the collagen-rich places.
I thought that was a myth.
Yeah.
I've never experienced it myself.
Pain when training.
But the question remains, should we eat extra collagen?
Yeah, that is the question. And that is kind of the question of today's study. After that long introduction, we're going to I think it was the Netherlands. Yeah, I think it's the Netherlands. Luc van Loon and his dudes, which are super protein nerds, which I love. We talked about the first episode in this podcast, episode 1, which tested 100 grams of protein versus 25 grams of protein, was parts of this team.
In one meal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's a pretty good episode. I wonder how our English is in that one. We had more practice.
A bit. This
So
is
anyway.
episode 70, man. That's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, what they wanted to test was that, does it make any difference if after strength training, if you ingest a protein shake with collagen, 30 grams of collagen, and they tested that against also a shake with the same amino acids as in collagen, but in free amino acid form. So basically broken up collagen. So either 30 grams of collagen, 30 grams of the same amino acids, but in free form, and against a placebo. Good researchers. And they wanted to see, does this shake affect the muscle protein synthesis, meaning those contracting muscle fibers? Does it affect what they called the muscle connective protein synthesis? So collagen, in this case, the connective protein. And also, just because it's cool, they wanted to see if it affects skin protein synthesis. So synthesis here means to put something together, to build something. So muscle protein synthesis is the building of new muscle protein, and skin protein synthesis is the building of new skin protein. Meaning, do you get less wrinkly if you take a shake? So not anything to do with the training, just like a bonus when they're still doing all these tests and taking small pieces of meat from the participants, which is how you take a biopsy, which they did a ton of.
Because we can add that collagen, if it's a bit trendy in the strength training universe, it's super trendy in the skincare universe.
Yeah, and the margins are way better in that circle.
Yeah. And I'm gonna avoid commenting further on that industry.
But we are in the wrong industry. I think we could rock the beauty niche.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I, Daniel. You and I.
Yeah. So what they did, they gathered up 45 healthy young men and women, randomized them into 3 groups, same percentages of the sexes in each group. Then each group were to perform a workout with only one of their legs, and after the workout receive either the 30 grams of collagen, 30 grams of amino acids, or the placebo. Then they took measurements before and after this workout and the drinks. They took biopsies of the muscle and the muscle connective parts and the skin and a bunch of blood samples. And I'm not going to try and get too much into the details, but they measured the amount of muscle protein synthesis by infusing the participants with isotopes.
That's cool.
Meaning, that is cool, and I kind of don't get it, but basically marked atoms that they infuse into the blood. So when those are built into the muscle and they take a sample, they can see that, oh, Jonathan here, he built 10 new isotopes into his muscle, but Sarah only built 3.
Yeah,
so Mark built
stupid
more muscle.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Always a disappointment.
Always. So that was the general idea. And what they did then was that before the session, before every participant came in, the evening before, they got a prepackaged standardized meal to get everyone on the same page. They also got a drink of orange juice, providing that vitamin C. In the evening before, then they fasted until the experimental session in the morning, where they took some samples, they started the infusion, and then they did this leg exercise session with one of the legs. And it was quite a decent workout, at least for the quads. They did 6 sets each of 2 exercises, the leg press and the leg extension. 2 of these 6 sets were warm-up sets, and then they did 4 work sets. So a pretty decent workout. And then they got their shakes, collagen, amino acids, or placebo. And over the next 6 hours, they just took samples at regular intervals to see what happened in the muscles, in the skin samples, which they took from their asses, actually, and the connective proteins. So, first things first. When they looked at just the blood samples, they could see that taking the shakes with collagen and the amino acids, both of them increased the blood content of the amino acids similarly. So both shakes worked. And this was hydrolyzed collagen. I think that is what you find when you look for it in the stores.
Unless you drink like bone broth or something.
Yeah, I don't
First.
know what that distribution is. I would suppose that hydrolyzed collagen is broken down into even smaller parts,
Yeah.
still collagen proteins, but like not bunched together. But I don't really know. So that was the first thing. The shakes worked. And then they wanted to see if the strength training worked. And they saw that both the muscle protein synthesis and the muscle connective protein synthesis increased from the strength training. And this is what we typically see. When we are in rest, we have one rate of synthesis always going on to like replace and build up new muscle protein. And then when we work out, this synthesis is increased. And then when we eat high quality protein, it's increased even further, which is why we busy ourselves with all this protein in the first place. So the strength training worked. But did the shakes do any difference? And the answer is no. Neither the collagen shake or the amino acid shake increased either the muscle protein synthesis or the muscle connective protein synthesis or the skin protein synthesis any more than the placebo did. So it didn't make a dent in any of these formations of protein, neither in the muscle itself, which we're usually concerned with, or in the connective proteins, the collagen, which they were looking at specifically now, or in the skin, which the beauty niche is interested in.
Yeah.
So collagen or its free amino acids didn't do anything for any of these.
But it's cheap, man. And the margins are great, man.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it. Is collagen protein powder cheaper than like whey protein powder? I would suppose.
I
it
would
is.
also suppose so, because I know that a lot of manufacturer of like protein bars, they switch out, in some instances, way too much of the good protein for collagen.
Yeah.
Some switch out a tiny amount because the argument is that the protein bar will be tastier, which is true. I remember protein bars in the 90s that were like eating sawdust.
Yeah.
When you get a tasty protein bar, it probably has a rather high percentage of collagen instead of essential amino acids.
Yeah.
And why would they do that if it was more expensive?
But when we're talking about collagen protein powder, the collagen is going to be cheaper when it's marketed towards men that lift weights.
Yeah.
Compared to if it's marketed towards rich women who wants to look young. Or men, but the marketing is towards the women.
Yep.
If I recall correctly, the most expensive demographic to market towards is women in like their 40s, 50s, something like that. They're the most expensive ones to reach. So anyway, what do we make of this?
Your body will produce the amount of collagen it needs.
Yeah,
if you eat enough.
As mentioned, we eat less collagen today than we did previously, basically throughout human history, with the exception of starvation.
Yeah,
but
probably
when we had
some cultures where food is where a very high percentage is carbohydrates for instance from rice or something.
Yeah, but when humans have eaten animals, they haven't been rich enough to throw away like 2/3 of the animal. We got a lot of collagen in, and we get less today. But is that an issue? Is the next question. And what, like mentioned, I haven't really looked much into collagen before this, but it seems to me that for someone who is already watching their protein intake, collagen ain't gonna be a big problem, probably, at least. I mean, you might eke out some small benefits if you increase it a tiny bit more, maybe. But really, what stands out to me that where we might be a bit further away from optimal intakes would be to bump up the vitamin C a bit instead. And I'm not talking about the like pills or the water soluble ones. I'm talking about fresh produce, fresh vegetables and fruits.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference.
And from that perspective, we should definitely eat more collagen because those are often the most tastiest bits of animals. The connective tissue-rich cuts of meat that we, in the Western world at least, we want our beef fillet that has almost zero connective tissue and it's so tender and lean and boring. Braise some beef cheeks or oxtail instead. It's awesome, and you'll get a lot of collagen that way. But I still don't think it's an issue if you eat enough calories and enough protein.
Yeah, because as mentioned, these are non-essential amino acids. We can create them on our own. I don't know to which extent we do that typically, or if we get enough from our diet, but in a pinch, we can do that. So I just feel that like one of the benefits diet-wise for someone who is training a lot is that we eat more calories in general, which means that we get more of everything, including micronutrients and vitamins and specific proteins. So we kind of get our bases covered like automatically if we exercise a lot and eat a lot. But yeah, I mean, if you really want to optimize and you're curious about it, then do some kind of calculation on your daily intake, check up what would be like, for one thing, what is the RDA, the recommended daily allowance, and then look up what might be a better intake. Just like with protein, the optimal intake is higher than the RDA, at least for muscle growth and some other factors. But yeah, there might be a difference. And also, while we're at it, check up vitamin C, or just commit to having 1 serving of vegetables or fruit on average with each of your meals, and you will arrive at that fairly optimal level of vitamin C intakes.
You're also going to be eating healthier.
Yeah.
If you always add vegetables in some form.
Yeah. This is one of those curious cases where, you might know and also trust something like saying, well, fruits are good for your health. But it's when you learn like the specifics of it that you really like integrate that and really listen to it. Like in this case, well, okay, so if I eat a couple more fruits every day, I might form more collagen around my muscles and in my joints.
Yeah.
And now I'm suddenly like, I have something concrete to focus on instead of just the very vague eat more fruits and vegetables.
Or just become a foodie.
Yeah.
And eat everything.
That too.
The seafood diet. Seafood, eat it.
Yeah. I get vitamin C's once a year when I eat a strawberry cake on midsummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some strawberry. That covers the basis.
Yeah. Vitamin C is one of those vitamins that you can't really store a long time.
No.
Neither in your body or in the food themselves. As soon as you pluck the leaf from the plant, it starts to degrade. And it degrades from heat, like when you're boiling it or cooking it somewhere else.
But you grow your own tomatoes, right?
Yeah, and spinach and other stuff. Potatoes, which was a big vitamin C source up here in Sweden for a long time.
Yeah, once it arrived from America.
Yeah.
And once people stopped thinking it was poison. It took a while.
Yeah. No, so look for fresh food. And like mentioned, it is also pretty dang healthy in a myriad of ways. I think we'll get back to as I mentioned, not avoid pills and vitamin supplements, but sometimes they interact differently. And vitamin C is a very strong antioxidant, which has been shown in some cases to blunt the exercise response. But we only see this in some tests where we have these concentrated vitamins, and not when we get them from whole foods. So there is a difference.
That's hard to explain.
Yeah.
But I also think that a lot of people writing into us explaining that they take all their supplements and stuff like that, they use it as a crutch for not thinking about everything else. It's like, I'm popping this pill, so I'm good. I don't need to consider anything else.
Yeah, okay, so that was collagen. I have a suspicion that we're going to get back to this now that we have popped the lid on it, so to say. And as the authors write themselves, adding vitamin C to this mixture might make a difference. So I suppose that they aren't done with it either. And we do have the big beauty industry, but on the other hand, they are not that concerned with evidence. So I mean, the incentive to research if it actually works isn't really there. I
mean, I still remember in the 90s there were launching new skin creams with from the Nobel Prize winner, and then I started becoming a skeptic there in my late teens, and I started looking into the research, and it had nothing to do with skincare. It's just that whole industry. No, I'm not going to comment. I'm going to be quiet.
It's fortunate that we are in the impeccable fitness industry.
Oh yeah, buddy.
All right, that's a wrap. And you and I are going on vacation, but we'll be back next week.
More tan. It's weird how that works.
Yeah, we're back in future time.
I wonder if we're gonna remember how to record.
Yeah, there's a big red button.
For us now in real time, it's over a month until we record the next one.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah, me too. This has been fun, and I'm glad that we decided not to skip episodes this summer.
Yeah, me too.
Keep it going.
Yeah, but, well, with that, we'll catch you next week.
Train hard, eat well, die anyway.